All right, welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name's Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all. And we are good
That's
rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's episode 73.
73.
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yo, y'all. As you know, this is our first our first episode that we're actually recording,
That's
Faheem,
right.
in the new year 2022.
That's right.
And oh my gosh, 2021 is over. And
Yeah.
we haven't recorded just me and you in a while.
It's
So
been a minute.
I'm just so excited for us to kind of go back to our original roots.
Mm-hmm.
Nelly J, Faheem,
Mm-hmm.
Nelly J. So
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have any guests this week, I'm just gonna chant Faheem, 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 Faheem.
Nelly J, Nelly J, Nelly J, Nelly J. All right, let's do this.
Let's do this, man.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get an episode, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Audible. Okay, so in 2021, you've seen a lot of changes, right? In your life, in your career, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we really get to give you your flowers. So, I wanted to let you know, okay,
Okay.
from the Good Rookies family and myself, we truly
Right.
appreciate all the work that you do for the podcast,
Okay.
for me, for all of us. And, you're a fan favorite. You got the baritone voice. You got the calm demeanor. Someone said, yo, Faheem always rolls his eyes. And I'm like, I know, right? Because I annoy him every episode. So it's always great to have your sarcastic black behind of a partner in crime. But
Uh-huh.
I want you to know, tell me which episode or which topic stood out to you the most in 2021. Any topic.
Well, anytime. Okay. This is not really given too much thought, but I have to say there's one that's pretty recently. So I'll tell you, we record. Sometimes, we go through the editing, listen back. There's one that I actually went back more than usual, and that's the Matthew Maurer one. I think I might have told you the one
Yes.
NBA draft review. Yeah, there's a question that I really liked that came how the conversation went, where he's talking about just being black in drafting and black scouts. And there's something about that episode, I was just like, whoa, like it all flowed nicely together. Some great content, stuff that you cannot find on the internet. And so that's one thing definitely in regards to content. I really like things that you can't find anywhere, that's kind of unique to our conversation. And that's a conversation you're not going to hear about black scouts in the NBA. So yeah, and that's pretty recent. Just off the top of my head, that's one that really stuck out. Matthew Miles for sure.
Oh, wow. Well, look at that. I mean, first of all, he likes all the guests, not just Matthew Maurer.
No.
But that one stood out for him. Okay. Don't be giving no hate email, y'all. Okay.
Let me ask you the same thing. What about you? Any for you last year?
I think one of the highlight episodes or a topic that I review, I actually liked, I like a lot of our episodes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our episodes. I think the one that really struck with me, I would say last year, is the one that we had with Sarah Jenkins. That was a fun episode. Like, right. I remember just laughing. Like, I felt like I knew Sarah forever, but it was a really good vibe. We never met her until the recording, and we just flowed really well. But I thought the topics were great. We talked about top 25 under 25. We had some people that weren't really highlighted, and a person I remember that I highlighted was Trae Young, and I'm like, yo, Trae Young gets no love, and then Trae Young goes off in the playoffs. So just a really good episode, lots of fun. But honestly, I like all our episodes. I think they're always educational, always interesting, and our guests are just really dope people. So that one does stand out for me a lot.
It's funny that you mentioned about Sarah Jenkins, because on that one, like you said, we never met her before, and you two both were getting on me about LaMelo Ball. I remember that, and she joined in. And she was ribbing me, and it was kind of nice to have a guest just come in that you don't know, and just the vibe was right. So yeah, that was a good one. It was a good
Great
one for sure.
vibe. Yeah. But I love you all. I love you all. So let's get into some hot topics for him. What we got on deck, brother? What we got on deck?
Oh well, so let's talk about the AllStar.
Okay.
First round or first version of the voting just came out today, so it's hot off presses. So by the time this comes out, they might be toward the second, but at least we can get a jump on it and see what we thought and where we're going from here. So you had a chance to look through. I just kind of browsed through. What's your thought first of all?
Well, first of all, y'all, I wasn't shocked. At the first round of voting. You know, LeBron leading the pack for front court in the Western Conference, followed by Joker and Paul. I know we had a discussion about this in the Raptors fan club room, and I said the shoo-ins for me, who I think should be starting, was LeBron, Joker, and Paul George, and the fans are agreeing with me. However,
okay, so can you do me a favor? Can you just give me a quick list just so we can get some context in regards to what we're speaking about? Because I'm interested to know, like,
of course.
Yeah. Okay,
so essentially right now, y'all, the first round of voting came in. They gave us the first 10 for front court, backcourt of the fan votes only, right? As we know how the AllStar voting works, 50% of it is from fans. I think 25 is from players, and the other 25 is from coaches. Okay, so that's how you become a starter, right? That way, it's a bit more, you know, not just fan favorite popularity only, right? So right now for the Western Conference, I'll give the top 5 for each conference. Okay, so we got for the front court, LeBron, Joker, then Paul George. In 4th place, Andrew Wiggins. Okay. Then 5th is Draymond Green. 6th, AD. KarlAnthony Towns is 7th. KarlAnthony 8th. Rudy Gobert 9th. And DeAndre Ayton is 10th. Now, for guards in the West, we got Steph Curry at 1. Then Luka, John Morant, Klay, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell at 7th. Dame Lillard, Russell Westbrook at 9th, Mr. Turnover, and Anthony Edwards. Okay. Now LeBron's also Mr. Turnover. I think he averages more than Westbrook, so I'm gonna leave that right there. Okay, so the Eastern Conference, fine.
Actually, you know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do the West first, and then we'll do the East after? Okay,
cool. So that's the Western Conference. So as you can see, the only person I was shocked about, happily shocked about, was Andrew Wiggins already. Way ahead of Draymond, because people all think, oh, everyone loves Draymond, he's a fan favorite, but Andrew Wiggins is almost at 1 million votes. Faheem, that is.
So I'll be honest, very shocking. I've been on record probably many times, kind of disappointed with Andrew Wiggins, to tell you the honest truth. Just the fact that this is his 2nd year in Golden State. Last year, okay. I would, if we started the season, you said Andrew Wiggins is going to be an all-star, I would have laughed you out the building. Yeah, there's no way that was going to happen. And deservedly so. I had no idea, because I don't really watch a lot of Golden State games. Like you mentioned, someone came in the clubhouse room and was actually dropping some actual facts.
Jayson Roberts.
Okay. Shout him out, Jayson.
Yep, Jayson Roberts. Yep.
He's 5th, right? 5?
Yeah, 5th. Mr. 5th levels.
Right. Okay, 5th levels. Right. I'll give him a quick shout out there. Yeah. So he came in and, actually, you know what? Let's do him some justice. I'm going to pull this up real quick, because when he was mentioning this, I was floored. I had no idea that. I knew he's balling. I didn't know he's doing this kind of work this year. Go ahead if you got it.
So what you're referring to is his shooting percentages, right?
Yes.
So from the 3, he is at 44%.
Wow.
44%. That's really high. I don't think anyone knew that his number was that high from the 3. I think from the field, I think he was like at 45 or.
Right. So I got it. So you're right. He's 43% on 5 attempts, which is still decent. Say that's like 1 a quarter. So it's pretty good. From the field, he's taking 7 attempts. No, sorry, my bad. He's taking 14 attempts and he's shooting almost 50%, 49%.
Almost 49, yeah.
So there's 50, 40. The only thing is, and that's what I was asking in the room, if he can be part of that 50, 40, 30, 50, 40, 90, right, club with the free throws. And no, he's actually a very bad free throw shooter.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, he's at 68%. So that's something he's got to work at. But shout out to Andrew Wiggins. This is still hot off the press for me. I'm just finding this out, and I am shocked. Andrew Wiggins is going to be an all-star.
Hey, well, what's funny is that we're discussing, Golden State Warriors get 2 or 3 players, right? And, even for Jayson, he was saying it should be Draymond and Steph, but he said he was like, it should also be Andrew Wiggins. And I'm like, you know what? Andrew does deserve it, but there's other players in the West that also deserves it as well. And keep in mind, I think only 5 get in for front court and then guards and then 2 wild cards, right? So, I mean, based on these voting, Andrew will get in because even if he doesn't get voted in as a starter, I'm sure after seeing the results of the fans liking him, the NBA will definitely convince those coaches to pick him as a reserve. So that will be dope for him.
also being a Canadian to
Mm,
be an all-star goes how spoiled we are. I remember back in the day, as far as what I can remember, it was Jamal McGlure. He was an all-star that one year, and that was
yep.
huge. And that was always like Jamal McGlure, he's an all-star, right?
Yeah.
Since then, we had Nash be an all-star, and this I'm just going off top right now. But as much as we have a lot of Canadians in the league, very few reach to that elite level to say they can be an all-star, right? Go ahead.
But we just discussed this before for him, because remember in the Western Conference, and we had a debate about this prior, you may have forgotten, we talked about Shea and Jamal Murray, right? Will they ever be all-stars, right? And in the guard position right now, neither of them is in a discussion. We know Jamal is injured, but Shea was injured for a while, right? But he plays in OKC. Markets do matter, because Anthony Edwards, who I think is balling out, is number 10 in the Western Conference guard discussion. So markets matter, because the better market you are, the more popular or more votes you can get. Even Cat having a great year, he's number 7, right? But I think Karl will get in regardless of if he's voted in or not, because I think because based on what he's been doing, what I'm shocked about is Carmelo Anthony, veteran, still a fan favorite. And he's number 8. He was barely in the NBA, and he's already top 10 for front court vote. So markets matter. Being a Laker, right?
Right.
It matters.
That's
it matters.
So just so I can understand this, because is he going to be the third Canadian? It goes Jamal McGlure, Steve Nash. Now we have Andrew Wiggins. Is there any? I have a feeling I might be missing another Canadian who's made an all-star, but outside of those,
I'm trying to think. Those 3.
And here's what's going to happen.
Actually, there's only been 2. Yeah, that's it.
Really? Wow.
It's only been
shout
2.
Shout out to Andrew Wiggins.
Good job. To be honest, I think Jamal Murray could have been one if he didn't get injured last year and this year, because he's like he's also like that flashy, like not John Morant, but he has that like fan favorite image. You know what I'm saying? Like even a bubble, he was kind of coming up there, but unfortunately, the last 2 playoffs where you make your name, he didn't play, right? So. No. And that's, I really think stardom happens in playoffs the year before, and then what you do in the first half of the, and I think John Morant had a phenomenal, he beat Golden State Warriors. He played a very great, and they lost, but they played really hard, him and Dylan, and now he's having a great first half of his season. So
for sure.
And him being up there, I'm not shocked. But yeah, it's interesting. So that's the Western Conference. Another surpriser and shocker for me, someone who struggled this year is Dame Lillard,
Right.
Dame's in there. He struggled, but people still like him, right? Dame Dollar. Was there any other names that you saw? Hold up. Klay Thompson, by the way, is number 4 for votes. The man hasn't played all year.
Right.
He has the 4th highest votes in the Western Conference. Crazy for him.
So it goes through, this round is really about popularity, is the fans and who they want to see. Klay, he's due to come back very soon.
Sunday. So when this drops, he'll be back already.
His first game,
yes,
right?
His first game, yeah.
So with Klay, very shocked that he's in here. I don't, he won't get in, but he's number 4th so far, right off the top, right?
Off the top.
Ahead of Booker, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, like people who played,
who actually played basketball. Let's see, in the last 2 years, by the way. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's a shocker. Actually, we can let me do the Eastern Conference actually, because we kind of have the same situation happening in the East. So in the East, I'll go with the guards. Okay, guards. I'm gonna list them out and then we'll give our opinion. Ready? Here we go.
Cool.
DeMar DeRozan number 1, James Harden number 2, Trae Young number 3, Zach LaVine number 4, LaMelo Ball number 5, Kyrie number 6, Derrick Rose number 7, Tyler Hero 8, Darius Garland 9, and Fred VanVleet 10. Some problems here. I want to address the first one, Fred VanVleet. Maybe he's number 10 in fan voting. Historically, I thought Toronto, we really have a good grasp of getting people in to the fan voting, right? No,
not in the last couple of years, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think our last All-Star was Pascal Siakam, and that was in 2020, prior to COVID.
Right, and he wasn't voted in. He wasn't voted in. He was,
but also he was also an NBA champion. So it just makes sense, right? And remember, he had the first half of that season. Lord, Pascal was balling out his mind, right? And the Raptors were high up there, so we're not shocked. But again, markets matter. Cleveland, Toronto, you know what I'm saying? Those markets matter, and those are just the lesser market. And so, yeah, he's number 10. But remember, we discussed this. The back court is going to be competitive. Because look at this, yo. They got Zach LaVine and DeMar as a backcourt. That's going to be hard for Fred to get in.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
so DeMar, Harden, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, those top 4, right?
Right off the bat. And then LaMelo right there.
So,
number 5.
So here's a problem that, and we kind of discussed this earlier. Fred VanVleet, he's been I wouldn't say it's close to a snub. Like, he's right on the cusp last 2 years. This is supposed to be his year that he gets in for sure. He's up against, I'm talking with the coaches voting him in, with LaMelo Ball, Kyrie Irving, who's much like Clay, hasn't really, he's played, but we know he's not going to play enough games by the time the All-Star comes around. So those two are two names that it's going to be hard for him to nudge. Well, actually, Kyrie is going to be easy because Kyrie probably won't have enough games.
Yeah, and plus the coaches will not allow Kyrie to play in the All-Star game. They're not gonna have him as a reserve this year.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
So he's up against LaMelo Ball. It's going to be tough. Derrick Rose Fred VanVleet over Derrick Rose.
Absolutely.
Tyler Hero, Fred VanVleet over Tyler Hero.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty much between VanVleet and LaMelo Ball. And this is not, remember, this is the coaches now we're speaking.
Yep.
It's be interesting. Let's put our who we think now, because by the time this drops, we'll probably have an answer by then. Who do you think is going to get that nod of the two?
Well, it's crazy, right? Because if you look at the standings, Toronto Raptors are now at the number 7th seed. Yes, that's right. We're moving on up. Where Charlotte is at number 8. They've been struggling lately, actually. They've been struggling. However, I really think the coach's nod, it will be dependent on what seed that team is going to be. Even though for us, we would pick, I would pick LaMelo because he's the flashier name, the Ball brothers, all that. I really think even if he isn't getting as a guard, number 5, the issue is that I don't think neither of them deserve it over Garland. I think Cleveland has been playing number well, but right now Cleveland right now is this number 6 seed, right? But they've exceeded expectations. So I would think, for me personally, even though I would like if it's only one spot left, I think Garland does deserve it because he's carried that team on his back. However, I would prefer Freddie because I'm a Toronto Raptor fan, but I just think in terms of what's fair, I think Darius Garland should get that spot. The 5th
wow,
spot.
that is a hot take. That is
hot take.
Wow, Garland. Okay, so you are 100% right. Cleveland's overachieving. Like, they're doing what New York was doing maybe last year and Atlanta the year before. Those teams that you don't expect and they just make them name. You're right. The only thing is they have a front runner for Rookie of the Year. I just think, I don't know if this turnaround can really be attributed to Garland. That's the only thing. You know what I'm saying?
I get that, but if you look at the numbers, he's the highest scorer on that team, I think. Yes, and he's also, and even when the front runner was out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they were still high, they were still winning games, and they were beating good teams. They even beat the Bucks with Giannis. You know what I'm saying? Without Evan Mobley. So you know what I'm saying? So he's legit, and I think he's improved a lot. He's also most improved, underrated as well, because remember Sexton went out. Mr. Ricky Rubio went out, and he's been having the team on his back, right? However, right? It just depends on where Cleveland ends up, because right now they're also dropping. They were before at 4th, they're down to 6th. And so we're gonna see, because remember the Raptors are now healthy. Charlotte's also peaked, I think, earlier this year, and now they're dropping a little bit. I think if the Raptors can make a push to the 6th or 5th seed, Fred VanVleet's gonna get that 5th spot, because he's been legit our facilitator and leader of this team the last how many months, and he's been playing all games, right? OG was out, Siakam was out. Freddie Steady has been our consistent focal point, like a gravity pull. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer. I mean, to be honest, you said Kyrie Irving, no. Derrick Rose, no. Tyler Hero, no. You know what I'm saying? However, it's going to be between LaMelo Ball, Darius Garland, and Fred VanVleet. Also, keep in mind, even though Trae Young's an elite player, the Hawks aren't doing that well team-wise, right? They're all the way at number 12.
Yeah, they're right.
Right. And they're not, and they're losing a lot of games. So it's like, even though Trae Young is a fan favorite, he's top 3 right now, right? And if the Bulls stay number 1, Zach will get in with DeMar DeRozan. Therefore, I think those 4 are locked in, to be honest, because I think Trae will get more votes than Zach. Therefore, it's going to be down, it'll be between LaMelo, Darius Garland, and Fred VanVleet. And when they get the wild card, unless they take 2 additional guards, I don't know. Faheem. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, man.
It is. So you make a great point in regards to seedings and how seedings is probably going to work out to who gets in. If we're talking between LaMelo Ball, Fred VanVleet, and Garland, I'm torn. I'm putting myself in the coach's decision.
Yes.
I can just see the coaches going with LaMelo Ball, just because Charlotte. Just, he's LaMelo Ball, and he's
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that come into play. This, and remember, like, this is a popularity contest, right? And LaMelo Ball is a popular pick. Now, me saying that, coaches aren't having the sympathy that maybe us as fans would have to say, hey, Fred VanVleet's been snubbed twice, we can't snub him a 3rd time. I don't think that that's really going to come into play in their minds. But Fred VanVleet has played well enough to be an all-star. And if he gets somehow snubbed again, it's a travesty, an absolute travesty if he doesn't get it, I think.
Well, you know what? I think him being, listen, man, to be honest, a lot of people, like we saw a lot of Americans and folks that we spoke with about this, a lot of Americans were like, yo, Fred deserves it. And we're like, oh, why? So I think in the basketball world, even speaking with trainers, coaches, scouters, they really admire Fred. Fred VanVleet is like a marvel. He's undrafted. And I think his storyline to be an all-star, from an undrafted player to an all-star, you can't beat that, Faheem. And I think he could be that poster kid to say, look, guys, if you're undrafted, you can make it to the All-Star game. And I think that's a beautiful story, better than Darius Garland and LaMelo. But LaMelo Ball is a huge name, man. That's tough. So even if we can't get into that fifth spot, I'm hoping if we can continue our trek and our request to be 6th or more, or 5th, Freddie can get that wild card, right? Because there's 2 wild cards per conference. And I'm hoping between Darius Garland and Fred VanVleet, I think either one will get the wild card. Now, let's go to the forwards, because I really think there might be 2 wild card guards and not 2 wild card big men. So let's go through the forwards. Yeah, let's go through that.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
So Eastern Conference forwards, we got KD at 1, Giannis 2, Joel Embiid 3, Tatum 4, Butler 5, Jared Allen 6. Bam Adebayo 7, Miles Bridges 8, LaMarcus Aldridge 9, and Nikola Vucevic 10.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm sorry.
Well,
yeah. So to be honest, again, another Cleveland Cavalier, Jared Allen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think when it comes to the wild card position, only one Cleveland player will get in, because they're not number 1 or 2. They're 6th, 7th right now, right? Mm-hmm. So it'll be between Jared Allen and Darius Garland, I think, for the coach. And I think if that's the key, if that happens, we're lucky, because that means Freddie can get in as the only Raptor, because we will be a top 8 team, I think, by that time. So that's my theory. Fred VanVleet, but y'all got to vote. Shoot, y'all got to vote. But what are your thoughts on the forwards? Embiid, Giannis, Kevin, I think we all said these 3 are locked in. No one's overcoming or getting more votes than Joel Embiid, Giannis, and Kevin Durant. Like, that's it.
Yeah, no, your calculation actually does work out. What you're saying about with Cleveland having 1, that's a good point. They're not going to get 2 players.
Nah.
And of the 2 of them, I actually think that Jared Allen is actually deserving to be in there.
I think so too.
And I never would have thought this, because he's, been kind of pedestrian this going through his career, like he's actually a staple of what's happening there, playing along with the rookie Mobley. So yeah, actually I would like to see someone like Jared Allen, who's really, honestly, he's not offensively gifted, he just does what he needs to do. And if in the past we've had guys like DeAndre or Jordan, He's been an all-star before.
Exactly.
And
even like Middleton was the all-star, and you know what I'm saying? So I just think that it does like standings matter, but Jared Allen has been there. He's a good guy. A lot of people like him, and people always think like the first thing you think of when you think of Cleveland is Jared Allen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And who would have thought that, So yeah, so shout out to him. So I would have to say, so we're going KD, Giannis, Embiid, shoo-ins.
Yes,
Tatum's gonna get voted in.
No, he won't get voted in because only three. It's only three.
Oh, my bad. You're right. He won't get voted in.
But after that, it gets interesting because now there's only two for sure confirmed forwards, right? Kevin, and keep in mind, it's still an all-star game. So you still want to have at least two centers playing. Giannis is in a center. Kevin Durant is in a center, right? So if you look at the fourth and fifth spot, what will have to be a center and what will have to be an actual true forward, right?
But here's what's weird to me, though. We have Jayson Tatum, but where is Jaylen Brown? He's not eligible, or I don't know.
It's not eligible. Just that, remember, the NBA markets Jayson Tatum as the face of Boston. We all know this. We all know this. So true basketball fans understand Jaylen Brown's value, what he's done this season, because Jayson Tatum hasn't had a great season. But it's about popularity, branding, all these different things. Like your shoe deal, which company you work under. Is it Nike? You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, Jaylen Brown is not top 10.
Yeah, but so it's weird because there's been a shift. Before, if we were to be talking about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown 2 years ago, hands down, everyone was saying Jayson Tatum's the guy. Now this year, a lot of, especially in our room that we're having on Clubhouse, it's a shift. Like everyone's on Jaylen Brown to say Jaylen Brown's a better player than Jayson Tatum. That's something, I mean, I never give pushback, but I do find myself scratching my head because I still think, not mind you, I don't watch in Boston, but these are people who are actually Boston fans who are saying, no, Jaylen Brown is the guy, but yet he's not here in voting. So,
hey, who the NBA picks as the face of your team, right? Remember, for every time there's a matchup, who's the face of Boston? It's not Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum.
No, right. That's right.
So Boston's success, unfortunately, is the marketing of the NBA and the marketing of that Boston team. Jayson Tatum has been the face, even though, and hey, it could be the head office for Boston, it could be whatever, right? But Jaylen Brown is not the face, and I think Jayson Tatum is that. And also remember, like, if you look at Jayson Tatum, he's always being retweeted, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So social media, right? However, Jaylen Brown will not like even if. Like right now, Boston, let's see. Boston right now in the standings in the Eastern Conference, I think they're actually below us. So right now, so they are
I think they're in the middle of the pack somewhere.
Boston's actually 11th right now. So yeah, they're 11th right now. Remember, they've been struggling. They've lost a few games. They lost to Spurs last night by 2 points. Jaylen Brown missed a layup. You know what I'm saying? So again, for the reserves, I don't even think Jayson Tatum might even get a reserve vote, to be honest, because remember, this isn't about popularity. It's about what the coaches see. Right? So I don't think Jayson Tatum is a shoo-in at all. After that, so if we can say Jayson Tatum, they're 11th. If they don't get the top 8, I don't think a Boston player will make it as an all-star.
So if Tatum doesn't, okay, go ahead.
So however, I think it'll be 2 Miami players. I think Bam. So it's between Bam, Jared Allen, and Jimmy Butler. And here's why, right? Miami is a top 4 team in the East. Everyone knows that. They're contenders, blah, 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 right?
They'll get 2, right?
So they'll get 2, right? They got 2 players. So, and also keep in mind, for the All-Star team, you want to have at least 2 centers, right? Bam can play a center, but we know he's injured. But even if he gets the nod to play as a center, they might pull in another player like a Jared Allen or someone else, you know what I'm saying, to get in.
Right.
So there's many ways to go about this, but I just truly believe that when it comes to like just everything that I'm seeing, I can see Butler getting in for sure. People were like, no, guys, Butler, top 4 team, he's getting in. That's it. So if we can say, okay, remove Jayson Tatum, Butler is the fourth player. We both agreed Jared Allen, Cleveland playing well, he will get in. That's 5. And then after that, you have a wild card. If I'm the coach, I got to pick up a top center. that means it could be Nikola. It won't be Marcus Aldridge. It'll be Nikola,
Right.
or it will be Bam Adebayo. Right. That's my two that I have as a wild card. Either one, but it won't be both.
So I'll rock with your theory. Actually, I think you're right. Miami will get 2 because they're a top 4 team. Bam would be that dude. But so Chicago is number 1 right now in the East, right?
But keep in mind, they already have Demar and Zach who will get in for sure.
They got their
so
2.
They'll have so they'll get a third if Nikola is at center, because remember, Bam is also still injured. Nikola's back, right? It's many factors here, right?
And that's what we're talking about, seeding, right? So in regards to seeding, I think right now Nikola he's 10th in the voting from the fans, but like we said, when you get to coaches recognize that him being on a number 1 team, and Nikola, he's still been somewhat the player he's always been. Like, he's not disappointing, I don't think. I think he's okay and well enough, because if, it's slim pickings once you're going. If Vucevic, I think he's already been an all-star before. So for him to get in would not be anything outside the norm.
Exactly. I remember he got the nod. But also keep in mind, Jarrett Allen is also a center. So will they want to pick up 3 centers, or will they keep Jarrett Allen as a center and then say, you know what, Jarrett Allen, you're going to get in as a center, and Nikola, no. And let's bring in some Jaylen Brown, because he's been playing well. But again, it depends on seeding, man. Seeding matters.
I got one other one for you then. So, Boston, if they seed low, they will maybe get 1, right? But what about Miles Bridges? And I know you've been big on Miles Bridges from the start of the season.
I like Miles.
Right,
yeah.
I know this. So,
but I can't see Charlotte getting in 2 players, because they're not top 5. I think, but you know what? I could see that spot going to a Milwaukee Bucker, right? A Milwaukee Buck. So I think Middleton plays forward, right? So if they stay top 3, he might get a nod. It might go to Portis. I mean, he's a champion, right? He's played very well, very aggressive. So it'll be, I think, or even, I know for Philly, they have some good forwards there who play some great defense, right? Tobias Harris had a phenomenal season this year. So we'll see, right? But I think that's going to go to someone that we won't expect. But it might go to a Boston player. It might go to Tatum. Who knows, right? Because he's a face guy. But I think if they're going to pick a Boston player, it has to be Jaylen Brown, man. They can't. And Jaylen Brown hasn't been there yet. So I think he deserves it. So we'll see.
And also, there might be other players that slide in here due to the fact that COVID also. I remember even last year, like, there's always, at the All-Star break, you always have those replacements that get in last minute, whether it be injury or something like that. I don't think it's so much injury this year. I think it might be with COVID protocols, and I just have a feeling there's going to be there's going to be some big name in there.
Yeah.
That not just one, a few big names. I'm going to go with, if we're taking over and under of say 2, I'm going to go over 2, meaning possibly 3. Big names that just won't be there because of something, not saying they have COVID, but something to do with COVID protocols, which is going to maybe open it up also. I can see that happening. So,
and keep in mind, last year, Devin Booker got snubbed, but he got in because of injury, right? So, those things do happen. What I find interesting as well, we talked about Suns getting 2 players because, they're like a top seed. And in the Western Conference, Devin Booker is 5th, right? And Chris Paul is 6th, but those 2 I think will get in as reserves regardless.
For sure, somehow regardless, they have to be there. You're right,
because Clay won't get in. So if you can say Steph, Luka, Ja, then it'll go to Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Boom. Now the wild card, Donovan Mitchell has to make it, or because Anthony Edwards' team they're not too hot. So I think Donovan Mitchell will finally get a reserve spot at All-Star and have to be switched up. And I really think for the front for the Western Conference, I really think, unfortunately, the hottest team right now, the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins will get that nod. And I think Draymond will. I think Anthony Davis, coaches aren't liking what he's doing, but he's a name and he's a Laker. So I feel like it's him or Rudy Gobert, to be honest. But the problem is that Rudy Gobert, I think, will get the coach's nod because it's Rudy Gobert. He's also an MVP like ladder. So if we say 1, 2, 3, LeBron, Nikola, and Paul, Rudy Gobert will get the 4th spot. Who will get the 5th spot? Between Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. And I think Andrew might get it over Draymond because Andrew has to get over Draymond, y'all. Yeah. And then if that's the 5th spot, the wild card might be AD. So, you know.
So actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to own it. Sometimes, many times, I say some things, And you know, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. I gotta own this. To anyone that knows me, I have not been the biggest fan of Andrew Wiggins, and I do remember part of my narrative has been Andrew Wiggins will never see an All-Star game. And I've been saying this for many years, and I felt confident that he will not see an All-Star game. It's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I got to own this to anyone that knows me that I've said this. I'm a man up. Andrew Wiggins is an All-Star, and I was wrong. And I want to salute Andrew Wiggins. Congratulations.
Congrats, Andrew.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
All right, man. Well, any final thoughts on the All-Star? We're keeping a close eye on it, but
no,
let's get Freddie in there, man. That's all I care about.
Let's get Fred VanVleet in there
also.
Let's get Freddie VanVleet. Yep. No
Period.
doubt. All right, so Nelly, let's go to For the Culture.
For the Culture, we like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today, we get to highlight an American film director, producer, screenwriter, actor, and professor. Let's give it up to Mr. New York Knick superfan Spike Lee.
Spike. 40 Acres and a Mule Productions.
That's right. Yes, that's right. So for those who don't know, Spike Lee, I'll say officially, he actually signed a multi-year film deal with Netflix. Okay. And as people don't know, they actually collaborated before on 4 projects: The Five Bloods, She Gotta Have It, Rodney King, and See You Yesterday. So with this amazing deal, he will direct and produce narrative films via his 40 Acres and the Mule Filmworks banner. And as well, according to the Hollywood Reporter, and Lee and Netflix I think this is a great marriage, you know what I'm saying? Because as per what Lee said in the statement, he said, "There is no better way for me and my company, 40 Acres and a Mule Filmworks, to begin a new year than renew our partnership with Ted, Scott, and Tendo, the fearless leaders of Netflix." So I'm excited for him. I think it's great to have Black creators, Black filmmakers in this industry. What's your thoughts on this news, Faheem?
So one thing that's hard for Black filmmakers, period, is getting funding, you know, and that's always been a narrative that's been following Black filmmakers from the start, you know, even Spike Lee's earliest stuff, you know, even Do the Right Thing, like that's a classic. He hasn't had the support that he probably should have. So I'm just going to go over real quick. He's 1986, She Gotta Have It. That's his first one, his first directorial debut. Do the Right Thing in 89, Mo Better Blues in 1990, Jungle Fever 91, Malcolm X 92, Crooklyn 94, Clockers 95, 25th Hour, I didn't see that one in 2002, Inside Man 2006, Chirac 2015, Black Klansman 2018, and The Five Bloods in 2020. Didn't see that also. So everything I've listed here, I followed Spike Lee through his entire career pretty much. And I think this is a great story because imagine this, if you're Spike Lee and you have a hard time getting funding, imagine what it's like not being a name. Because when you talk about Black directors, you know, Tyler Perry comes to mind, who actually funds his own films also. But yeah, there's not really a lot of high profile directors. And if someone at the top of that food chain, being Spike Lee, can't get funding, I think it's just amazing that now he has a platform with Netflix. Netflix is obviously doing exclusive content. Dave Chappelle has his on there also. So this is just, I think, great even for another generation, because Netflix is a platform that people will go check out your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we look at what happened with the Last Dance with Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just there. So I think it's just great that that Spike has this opportunity now to further put out more films on a platform wherever it's at. So I think it's awesome.
And one thing about Netflix is that they're very diverse and very inclusive. Like, I noticed that there's films from all walks of the life. I love watching my Nollywood, that Nollywood mean Nigerian Hollywood. And they always have amazing Nollywood films, and even films created by African directors, producers. So very inclusive. So I'm happy for Spike Lee. And I just hope this encourages anyone, a person of color in Toronto and Canada, don't rely on only just the Canadian companies here to do stuff, submit your ideas, try to get funding. I've actually made some connects of people who help with funding for documentaries. And he was like, hey, if you have any funding for a documentary, let me know. And their goal is to help always build up documentary filming for BIPOC. So if you're interested, holler at me, man. Because at the end of the day, it's about helping each other and help each other grow. So, and I just love anything that is helping promote Black creatives and Black storylines. So
that's right.
Let's do this.
And in this, I'm hoping that it's much like a trickle down effect. So Spike's, he's got the in on Netflix now. I'm hoping that he's pulling in other Black directors and giving other people a shot under maybe his production company also, so we can get others, because I do find on Netflix, you're right, great in regards to representation, right? But I think it's about opportunities also, that I think that we got to open for our own also. So I'm hoping that Spike, when he does these movies, he keeps in that same lane of bringing up the next Spike Lee's, and what I'm saying, and through Netflix using his platform also. Absolutely. I wouldn't doubt that he would. Because we know Spike, he's a very conscious person.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we got to shout out to Spike on this for sure.
Absolutely,
and Netflix.
Man. Yes, yes. Whew.
And hold on, I got one thing for you. So if you're Spike Lee, Spike's been tied to sports. Is there any type of story or storyline that you think that Spike would come out with that has to do with sports through Netflix?
Fan behavior. Fan behavior.
So you're saying you're speaking more of like a documentary type, right?
Well, I don't know. Like, it depends, right? Because Spike always does, like, he did Malcolm X. He did the Black Kings, Klansman stuff.
He did.
Right?
He got game too, didn't he? But
yeah, he got game. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay, got.
Yeah,
right.
I actually mentioned that earlier on. Actually, so you're good.
Did you? Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I did. So he does like bio pictures, like things that are like real, based on real stories, based on real experiences, right? So, and he's worked with people like Wesley Snipes, Samuel Jackson, Denzel, you name it. That's why I feel like if these films will be definitely impactful films based on true stories, real life. Could be a film about, what we've seen, George Floyd. It could be anything, to be honest. But I can definitely see him doing a film about police brutality and just the impact it has on fear, that the fear it imposes to psychology of, Black and brown people. So I could see him really tackling that, because that was a big issue that a lot of people that we're still facing to this day. So I can see him tackling a film around that storyline for sure.
Fair enough. No, and the reason why my initial question was about sports was, he's actually part of the Knicks organization, their culture, right? Courtside, Spike Lee, right? It's just whenever I think of Spike in sports and the Knicks, they're intertwined. The Knicks are one of the NBA's most valuable franchises. So I know that's why I was mentioning he got Game, which is a basketball movie already. So maybe it wouldn't be something to go outside. But I'm just wondering, maybe if they like, I can't think of a New York Knick documentary. Like, I really don't think of one. I think if there was to be one, I think Spike would be the one to do it. And that just kind of came to mind. That's all. But you're right. Maybe not for Netflix. Maybe on something else.
Absolutely, man. But no, we'll see what Spike does for sure.
Right. No doubt.
All righty.
All right. So let's go to That's Absurd.
That's absurd, Faheem, bro. What was absurd this week? What was absurd?
A announcer has disrespected Kevin Porter Jr. in the worst way.
An announcer for like an announcer for the basketball game, like for the game.
Yes. Okay. He is the announcer for the Washington Wizards.
All right.
And I don't know how to say this Kevin Porter Jr. hit a game winner. When he hit the game winner, he had made reference to, he's mistakenly made reference to Kevin Porter Jr.'s father, who had been involved with a gun, a shooting when Kevin Porter Jr. was young. And Kevin Porter, so there is a Kevin Porter which played for the Washington Bullets back in the day. He had thought that Kevin Porter was Kevin Porter Jr.'s father, but it wasn't his father.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Okay. Let me wheel this back. Let me say what he said, and then I'll backtrack on this. So this is a quote from the Washington announcer. They said,
also say his name, please. I don't like it when we always kind of hide these announcer names. What's the announcer's name? Yeah, say his full name, because we're saying Kevin Porter's name. Let's say the guilty party. What's his freaking name?
Got you.
What's his name?
Here we go. What's his
name? Damn it.
All right. So his name is Glenn Consor.
Okay.
Wizards broadcaster, Glenn Consor. And he says, "You've got to give credit." This is a quote. "You got to give credit. Kevin Porter Jr., like his dad, pulled that trigger right at the right time." End quote.
Are you effing kidding me right now?
So, and when he said pull the trigger, it's because Kevin Porter Jr. hit a dagger 3 to win the game. And he said, now, yeah, so it's disturbing on many levels. He later has says, "Oh, I said he pulled the trigger at the right time because I thought that Kevin Porter
Jr. was the son of another Kevin Porter.
Another Kevin Porter, who was an actual NBA player.
Yes,
but in actuality, Kevin Porter Jr.'s father was actually involved in gun violence when he was young and died as a result." Absurd on many different levels. LeBron actually stepped in, and LeBron had given his take on it also about how absurd it is for him to say that. Do you think he keeps his job?
No, I think it should go.
No, you think he should go, but do you think, okay.
And here's
I know you think he should go, but
here's why, right? Because when you're doing announcing, what I've heard from announcers that I know and people we talked to in the past who've guests on here, they always research every single player. And they always research, like, what school, remember, as an announcer, you have to look into each player's background to pull in content throughout the game. So you're looking into the player's family, where they played in college, how they were in college, the things they like you're kind of looking into, especially the starters, you kind of know the starters, and your research team gives you the pointers of things to talk about, right? He must have known that his father, the announcer had to have known. And I think he is trying to say he did it. Again, I don't want to accuse him of being ghastly, but I just think it's hard for me to believe Faheem that announcer who does research, who is a Washington announcer, like he does his job, they know these players ins and outs, period.
That's hilarious that you just gave that take, because pretty much that's exactly what LeBron James said.
Okay.
Pretty much
because I know what LeBron said.
Covered.
Really? Yeah, okay, I know what LeBron
that's
said.
Why I'm laughing. I'm like, wow, because I know we discussed earlier and you had no idea about this. So I said, let's talk about it. And you pretty much nailed exactly what LeBron said.
Really?
About doing the research and it's true. But we are in cancel culture, right? People said, well, I don't know if people said worse. That's pretty bad. But, and people have been disciplined for it. This was an announcer, I would assume he should. Well, okay, it's different than what I think and what will happen. Should he? Do I think he should lose his job? Yes. For some reason, the odds of the name Kevin Porter Jr. And having somebody who played for that organization back in the day, that the announcer, it's a coincidence. And you're right, he should have done his research, but the coincidence would make it. He's kind of got it kind of covered. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the odds of you thinking or you saying about gun violence? And you actually have a backup that it would be. I know this gets confusing, but it would be an actual former player. You know what I'm saying? Like that would, in other words, what I'm saying is if someone is going to play this on an honest mistake, if this is one of the rare loopholes that an honest mistake would actually work in this situation. You get what I'm saying?
I do, but to be honest, I've heard many basketball games in my lifetime. You know, I've never heard an announcer say he pulled the trigger. That is not a common term in basketball. It really isn't. Like, again, see, happen the thing, right? If he said, "Oh, he shot it like his father did back in the day," or certain things, certain words and phrases you use for him in basketball describing moments. Oh, what a shot! Like his father did. You know, like you never say pull the trigger. Like I've never heard pull the trigger to exemplify a big shot. I haven't heard it yet. I haven't heard it yet. I'm saying I haven't heard it yet.
I understand you may have not. I've heard someone say you got to pull the trigger.
You've got to pull the trigger, but he just pulled the trigger. That term after a big shot. Faheem, all I'm saying is that again, like this is my thing, right? This guy, this white man.
I'll throw the names. We want to throw the names. Glenn Consor.
Yes, Glenn Consor. And Glenn Consor, a listener, right? Glenn Consor, you think you're smart. You're not smarter than me. Because at the end of the day, you knew the loophole. You knew it. Come on, like Faheem, listen, Faheem, we talk about Raptors. If any NBA player has a father, whatever, we know about LeBron's dad. We know about pretty much all the fathers. Like this is not a secret. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, Kevin Porter knew there's a player prior named Kevin Porter and his dad. And he was like, well, I mean, if I say it, I can use it as a loophole. But no, I'm sorry. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. For me, again, I'm just saying that he knows about both Kevin Porters. And he's like, well, I mean, I can just say at the end of the day, as an announcer, you should understand each player and certain phrases can't be used around it. So forget, fine. He didn't know or he did know and whatever. Maybe he forgot or forgot that his dad wasn't Kevin. But come on, bro. As an announcer, you didn't know that wasn't Kevin Porter's son? Come on.
And apparently that Kevin Porter was like, I think he's 70 years old. Like he's far old. But anyway, so I want to do this because I just found this.
Yo, that's a
this is a quote. This is a quote of his apology. What's his name? Glenn Consor.
Glenn Consor's apology. Yeah, Glenn Consor. Glenn Consor. Okay.
Here we go. Ready? Quote. Please allow me to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize to Ken Porter Jr., his family, and the Rockets organization for the comments I made during last night's game.
That's it?
Wait. Continued quote. I mistakenly thought Kevin was son of the former Washington player Kevin Porter and was unaware that the words I chose to describe the game-winning shot would be in any way harmful or hurtful or insensitive. I've reached out to Kevin to personally apologize and hope to be able to talk with him soon, end quote. Actually, I just want to put this one last thing in context just as we close this out.
Yeah.
So, actually, Kevin Porter Jr. is actually real father. His name was Brian Kevin Porter Jr., or senior, sorry. Yep. He pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter in the shooting death of a 14-year-old girl in 1993. He was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. And Kevin Porter Jr.'s dad, Porter Sr., died in 2004 after being shot in a South Seattle bar. Okay. And Kevin Porter Jr. was 4 years old when his father was killed. Okay. So that's another level of insensitivity by this. What's his name? Glenn Consor.
And trust me, Glenn Consor, as an announcer, you would already know this information. So you can't say you didn't know. Like, there's no way, bro. I don't buy it. Because again, people that announce, Faheem, you have to research everything because during the game, your goal is to paint the picture and talk about these players like you know them like the back of your hand. So, Mr. Glenn Consor, you knew this apology. I don't care about your apology. You need to go. You need to go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not cool, Faheem. But you pull the trigger. That for as Black people, come on. And announcers, how about this? Don't use that term, pull the trigger. Let's just put that a phrase aside. Pick it up. Drop it in the ocean. How about that? How about that?
I'm with you. All right. So, as we exhale, to a better place.
to a better place.
All right, Nelly J, let's put this episode in the books.
All right, y'all. That was episode 73.
73.
Y'all, if you had a good time, if you enjoyed yourself, you know how it is. But before we close out, Faheem, it's only us. So what's your shout out this week, man? What's your shout out?
Wow. I was not prepared for this. You know what? It's a new year. First of all, I'm going to give a shout out to say, we always say like stay blessed and things like that. Stay safe. To everybody. I know everyone's hearing this, but I just feel like I have to say this. Stay safe, stay diligent, just be cautious, and reach out to those in need of these times right now, for sure. We're in some tough times, and we're obviously being optimistic that things will get better, and as we know, they will. But that's the main thing. I just want everyone to stay safe. Also, I want to add on to this shout out. Also, I want to shout you out, Nelly J. Once again, another year in the books with us. And appreciate everything you do. And this is another year, and every year, it's leveling up, level up. And we have some things this year also that we want to keep building on. So I just want to shout you out also. And lastly, I'm gonna throw my wife in. She really holds me down. Yeah, she definitely holds me down with this.
Big up yourself.
Shout out to my wife Aisha. She definitely holds me down. Allows me to record while baby girl needs some attention. She holds us down. So definitely I want to shout her out also. What about you?
Yeah, well, first of all, so my shout out is to my family, to your family, which is part of my family anyway. So to all our families, I want to shout out to all the kids who are going to be doing 2 weeks of virtual learning. Yes, I know it's tough for parents. I'm just going to keep my prayers out for y'all. Shout out to people who've lost loved ones. I've had a lot of deaths and people that I know of that passed away, friends, uncles, my friends' uncles, my friends, my dad's friends, different people. So, just shout out, prayers to everybody up. And also shout out to those suffering with mental health. It is at this time, we're in a second year in a row of this pandemic. There's people right now suffering mentally. Depression is real, y'all. So if you haven't heard from a friend in a long time, call them, text them. Let them know that you care. I get it, guys. We're all busy. But a text saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. A text saying, hey, I hope you're well. Trust me. But text saying, you know what? You're on my mind. I hope all is well. A text saying, hey, I'm proud of what you've done this past year. A text of saying, you're good job on everything you've done. It will go a long way, y'all. So any of your friends that you haven't talked to for a while, check in on them. Trust me. I'm sure they would love to hear from you. So that's my shout out, man.
For real.
All right, y'all. So that's episode 73. Please, if you had a good time, you enjoyed yourself, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Faheem.
you know the drill. We're there on all platforms if you're looking for us. That's Good Rookies Podcast. It's episode 73, and we out.
Peace.